Welcome, welcome, welcome. I believe we are live. Debs Cooper, global stressologist. Here we go. Thank you for joining me. Thank you, thank you, thank you. What you know what I'm like with technology, just getting everything up to speed because today I'm going to talk about the hidden stresses you're carrying that nobody sees. So bear with me while I am good to go here. I think we're getting it because this is a goodie because there's been so much chaos that's been happening around me. This is purely, it's not just for you. This one is definitely for me as well. Let's see if I can see it. Right, I can see on the chat what's going there. This is helpful. This is helpful. So drop in the chat if you are here on a replay or if you're here live. Grab your note-taking device because I want to talk a little bit about, clearly, the hidden stresses you're carrying that nobody sees. But let me tell you, yesterday, I don't even know, my days start to blur into one. Who has those days that blur into one? But the other day, I went through and rung the bank. Very simple. I spent over 2 hours on the phone with the bank, and it was just an issue that just needs to be resolved, could have been done very quickly. But what was interesting is I noticed something in my body. And when I talk about this, noticing something in my body, it actually went from 0 to 100 pretty quickly. I could feel my frustration. I could feel myself going, Rrr! I could feel it rise and then I could feel it go back down. And then I'd feel it rise again and then I'd go back down. And it was literally like this internal tug of war that was milling around in my head. And as much as I wanted to get furious with every person, you spend over 2 hours on the phone to the bank. I got cut off 3 times. I went to the 4th person. They're like, we won't cut you off. La, la, la. You're like, yeah, right, sure. I understand it. But I could feel myself stirring and stirring and stirring. And I knew it was about me. If I wasn't going to change, this whole attitude I was putting out was definitely going to have an impact on the others. And it really allowed me to start going, okay, this is what a high performance person is. We've only got a certain amount of time. I'm functioning, I want to show up, I want to get things done, and I want to move on. I've got stuff to do. But it didn't work out that way until I had a good hard look at myself while I was on that call. Very funnily, the guy, when I actually got to the right person, I will tell you, when I got to the right person, it was resolved in not even 2 minutes. 2 minutes. He goes, oh, that's a simple fix. I nearly wanted to rip through the phone and go, simple? But it was good for me. I learnt a lot about myself and how I'm handling situations and where you go through coverage that you could potentially lose your phone. There was a bit of that going on. But grab that note-taking device. Hi, Shari. Grab that note-taking device because I really would love to give you some tips that have helped me and do help me get through. I don't know what's going on with my computer here. So, if this is a standard one that I talk about all the time, don't take things personally. Take things personally. Don't take things personally. Because when I think this happens, the signs that it's showing up. Let me talk about the signs. So you do something and you start replaying that conversation in your head over and over and over and over again. Even long time after it actually happened. Or someone says something and their tone's a little bit different and it's a little bit off. And you're just feeling, this is not good, this is not good. Or somebody gives you some feedback and you take it as full-blown criticism. Full-blown criticism. And I know because I did that this week, someone asked me a question and I went to full-blown, I failed. Yeah, we're all human, just let you know. So when somebody says something and you're reacting or you're stirring up with whatever's going on for you, I want you to do this. I want you to pause and just ask yourself, is this actually about me? That's it. Very simple. Is this actually about me? Because often it's not. And when I talk about, when I think about high performance, and I say high performance because we're the ones who just want to get going. High performance often absorb emotional responsibility that's not theirs. We take on the same week, as I'm saying, I'm a high performer myself, we often take on other people's stuff. But the moment you release that, everything, as my cousin Ben would say, it calms your farm. Everything inside you just goes, ah. The moment you release that it's actually not about you, it's actually about them, then you're allowing yourself to actually be able to function in this world. You know those ones. Now, interesting when I said for that resolution, pause and ask yourself, is this actually about me? Because the next one I'm going to talk about is actually pausing before reacting. because our stress is actually in the wobbles, in the build up. So it's showing there's signs that actually happen before that, but often we don't see it. So when we react, our responses become sharper than we intend to, or we swear, or you react differently and you regret it later. But the one I love for myself is when I'm in a frazzle, when something's going on for me and I can feel it, literally my body gets tense or agitated and I'm like this. I can feel it. I can feel it stirring up in there. And when this happens, those small problems, because they are just small problems, they're actually just problems, they're not small or large, they're just problems, but they feel bigger than they actually are. They're escalated. Already you've run a marathon of in your head when really it just needs to be a 10-meter sprint. And you've just run this whole story scenario of whatever that is. So when I'm thinking about this, I want you to instantly introduce a micro pause. Now, if you know me personally and not just a Facebook Live, I'm learning this. I'm learning that micro pause because maybe in my 50 odd years I've that mouth's got me into a little bit of trouble. It's got me out of trouble too, I will say. But having that micro pause, just that pause for a second or two or three, and then allowing yourself to take that breath before you respond clearly. So you're going to take that pause, take that breath before you respond. And even just a few seconds allows that thinking brain, to catch up with what I really want to say, with your emotional reaction. So when you're allowing yourself to pause, breath, a few seconds of thinking, however long that's going to take, that's when the clarity returns. And you've heard me talk about this recently. Clarity returns when the nervous system settles. Clarity returns when the nervous system settles. Knowing that, that's definitely worth going down to that. You can see it. The other thing is, now I know I talked about don't take things personally, but I want you to think about stop carrying what isn't yours. And when I say stop carrying what isn't yours, I want you to think about you feel responsible for fixing other people's problems. And even me as a stressologist, it's my responsibility. It's not my responsibility. Even if they hire me, you pay me, it's not my responsibility. I'm standing side by side with you. So if you feel you're responsible for fixing other people's problems, this is actually another way of stress, because this is carrying the stress that isn't actually yours. You hear people's stories, you take that stress on, you leave conversations feeling like the leech has sucked all your blood away from you. Or you think about someone else's issues long after they're actually still thinking about it. They're like, yeah, no, this is happening, this is done, this is where I'm at. And you're the one who goes into all of this. And it can go into this crazy scale of escalating from you thinking about something that someone's just made a comment and they've moved on from it. So I want you to remind yourself, when we come back to this, I want you to remind yourself, I can care without carrying. I can care without carrying. 5 words. I can care without carrying. Let's all say this again. I can care without carrying. It's as simple as that. Just by saying those things, reminding yourself, whether you have to say it out loud when it happens, that will also just pivot that brain and that presence within you to go, actually, yeah, I can care without carrying. Of course I can. It's a humbling experience where you can actually see it in order. You can support people without taking ownership of their emotional weight. Their emotional weight's their emotional weight. You've got your own to be dealing with. No one wants someone else's thrown into the pot of everything. So just be aware of that one. That's how to stop carrying things that are not yours. The next one is a story. And I want you to notice, I talked a little bit just before about how you can run a marathon with your story. That story, I want you to notice the story that your mind is creating and running very quickly. So instantly when something happens, or someone tells something, or maybe it's going to happen, you jump into the negative. You jump into the negative before anything has ever happened. Or your mind can create scenarios that may never occur. Anything like that. Or that uncertainty that we have actually becomes mental noise, and it's like this. It's like one of those wobbling heads. Those bobbleheads, I think they are. It's a bit like that. And you've mentally rehearsed conversations. We know this one. You mentally rehearse those conversations that haven't even taken place. That is what your head is like. It's just constantly going like this. Backwards and forwards, backwards and forwards. Even that just does my head in. So when I think about that, noticing that story, I want you to go back to again, ask yourself, because it's all about asking yourself. We're going back internally here, we're asking ourselves, here it is. What do I actually know to be true right now? What do I actually know to be true right now? And this one alone has stopped me this past month while my head has been running a marathon. What do I actually know to be true right now? And it just grounds you and puts you back to that, shoulders back, okay, yeah. And that means you're returning to the facts. Instead of assuming, because we all know what assume means. So when we're assuming, so we're returning to the facts and we're going back to not assuming that something crazy is going to happen, because that just goes back to that left, right, wobble, 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 bobble head. And that mental pressure that we do not need. Now, you've heard me talk quite a bit about grounding and presence for this. I'm now going to tell you to return to what actually matters. Return to what actually matters. And so when I'm thinking about return to what actually, when I say return to what actually matters, I want you to think about this. Your mind is busy, but not productive. A bit like this, a bit like this, a bit like this, but you're actually not productive. We you know those ones, you can see it all. Or there's issues that consume more attention than they deserve. The issues that consume more attention than they deserve. Or you're carrying that emotional stress from an earlier situation, because we've listened to somebody earlier, we've watched something earlier, we've been part of something earlier, whatever that is in the past. We're carrying that emotional residue, we're carrying that emotional cluster from then, our earlier situations, back to the present, and we're bringing it into this situation right now where it doesn't necessarily need to be. So again, we're going back to what actually matters right now. And that directs your attention there. It just takes us back to our attention right there and then, right there and then. But the next one I want to jump to really quickly is giving your nervous system permission to reset. Now, when we are stressed, our shoulders go tight, our jaw goes tight, we're grinding our teeth sometimes when we're sleeping, we've got that shallow breathing, it's like a hyperventilating, we constantly feel like we're on here, we're on alert, we're jumping all around, we're going from this, hey, welcome, Kiki, around the corner from me right now. What can happen when our nervous system is off the charts? We actually have difficulty, and when we have difficulty relax, even when it's the same thing we used to do, relax, I'd go walk in the garden, but if our nervous system is skyrocketed right now, we can't even look at those glitter bomb moments. We can't look at that whatever's going on, and we have difficulty relaxing in those present moments that we used to do. So when I think about this, it's all, every tip I've given you today, I know with certainty is bring you back to present. So to resolve this, you're actually going back to present. That's it. You're going to create a moment reset, a reset moment, whatever that is. So I want you to do this. I want you to put your hand on your heart. Grab your boob, whatever that is. Slow your breathing. That's in through the nose, pause, out through the mouth, pause. Slow that breathing, whatever that is. And then I want you to move away from wherever you are right now. If you're sitting here, I want you to get up and I want you to go and move. I'm clearly not going to move. I'm not going to go because I'm not going to go outside and I'm going to leave you. But I'm going to suggest that you get out of where you are, hand on heart, slow that breathing down, and step away from what you're doing right now. Step away from what you're doing right now, because that will ground you straight away. You're already changing the neural pathways in your brain. Your hand on heart's changing it. You're slowing your breathing is going to change. You get up and move. So take a step outside. Look at my beautiful outside. I'm saying take a step outside. You don't have to take a step outside. Just take anywhere away from where you are right now. Outside works for me. Take a short walk. Walk around the garden. Walk outside to your letterbox, whatever that is. Or just walk out of your office or your environment, whatever it is, and then just take a moment. take a pause when you're outside. So if I'm going outside, I'm going to stand, I'm going to take a pause. Again, hand on heart, go back to my slowing my breathing. Instantly, your nervous system has reset. Instantly, your nervous system is reset. Right from this, step 1, breathing. Step 2, step away. Step 3, your nervous system has already calmed the farm down from that. And you're giving it permission to pause. You're giving yourself permission to pause. That alone already has started giving that permission, giving yourself permission to calm your farm. Calm your farm, that's my little favourite saying. Great, we've got a thumb mark here. When we think about this, when we think about the hidden stresses, I want you to think it's really loud. A hidden stress can come from anywhere. And it's often carried quietly who appear to be the strongest. It's often carried by those who appear to be the strongest. Not the ones who cry every day, not the ones, but actually the ones who say they've got it. And that stress just starts bubbling like a kettle. Starts bubbling like a kettle or a jug, J-U-G, or a kettle in or a pot of water, boiling water, we'll put it that way. And we know when it boils and it escalates, and then it starts going down and it diminishes, and it goes down and down and down till you're left with very little water. So, I want you to think about this. Don't take things personally. Pause before relaxing. Release what's yours. Question the stories that we have in our head. That's a great one. Question those stories in the head if they're the truth. Return to what matters, and that will allow your nervous system to reset. And with that, the pressure lifts. And we know, I've said this all week, the last couple of weeks, when that pressure lifts, the stress settles, and the clarity and certainty return. When that pressure lifts, stress settles, and the clarity and certainty returns. Yeah. That's the hidden stresses you're carrying that nobody sees. So, what I'd love you to do today is know, after listening today, what's your highest priority action step you're going to do today to achieve your goal, whatever it is. What is that highest priority action step you're going to do today to achieve your goal that you're setting out for today? Choose something that's inspiring, choose something that's going to challenge you, and go out there and get it done. Now, before I do sign off, I'm going to say two things. I'm going to say, if you'd like to know more, book a glitter bomb call with me. We can do this. But on Monday, in 3 days' time, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 3 days' time, I'm hosting an event that's going to go for 8 weeks online called the Certainty Room. It is going to give you certainty. It's going to give you clarity. It's going to calm your farm. All you need to do, sign up, register, show up. I do all the talking. Well, actually, you do get to talk a little bit. You do get to talk. But it's in a group setting, and I get to clear those emotional blocks you have that are going on in your world. So, that is me, Debs Cooper, Global Stressologist, signing off on the hidden stress you're carrying that nobody sees. Let's end this on, shall we just see if we can get some fireworks for this one? Oh, glitter. We'll do this one, and we'll do this one as I sign off. There we go. I will see you next week, or I'll see you on Monday. Have a great day, family. Bye.